Hey everyone, it's Riley. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to set up March in my bullet journal. So I always get so excited for these plan with me's, and honestly I usually film them way in advance because once I get an idea I just like latch onto it and get way too excited about it, and that is exactly what happened with this month's. So as you probably know, I recently got Instagram. Little plug, if you haven't checked out my Instagram you can find it in the description. But yeah, so when I got Instagram it really like opened my eyes to the world of just online art. Like, I had always been active on like Pinterest and stuff looking at art online, but I didn't really know what a community there was on Instagram. So back in January when I just got my Instagram account, I discovered this artist on Instagram called Color Lime, and she is unreal. Like, she does digital art and it's just so unique and creative and cute, and she does things that I feel like I like to do in my own art style as well, where like she combines a bunch of different things. You know, where like some people would just draw like a light bulb, she'll draw a light bulb with whales in it, for example. And like my Christmas theme, I did a light bulb with a snow globe in it, you know? So like she just likes combining different elements, which is exactly what I love. So I decided to actually take my inspiration directly from her channel and do a little challenge that she posted. So the actual like challenge part is over, but basically she sent out a little like DTIYS, I think draw this in your style, yes, DTIYS challenge, out to other artists who could draw this same drawing in their style and then submit it to her. So basically that's what I'm doing for this monthly theme. I'm just taking her draw this in your style challenge and turning the picture into my own bullet journal setup. So mine is going to be different. It's going to be in my style as the title would suggest, but if you want to check out her original post and just her Instagram account in general, because it's amazing, I will for sure have that linked in the description. So if you're here and you're wanting to plan along with me, you're just going to need the same basic supplies that I always use: your bullet journal, some black pens or fine liners. I personally am using the Pigma Micron fine liners for this one, and you'll also want some markers. So I just used 2, maybe 3 colors, and all of those were the Shuttle Art brush pens. So they're relatively new markers to me. I really love them, and so I'll have all of my supplies linked in the description. So let's jump in and plan March. So here's my journal. It's the Art Journal Olive one that I've been using for 2021, and I didn't mention this in the intro, but I am still working on that giveaway journal. So in case you didn't watch my January or February bullet journal setups, I make custom bullet journals, and I decided to make a custom bullet journal for 2022 using all of the same themes as I use. So this exact theme will be set up in the custom bullet journal, and I'll give you a preview of that in next month's Plan With Me video. So as you can see, I typically like to go in with marker first. I know not many people do this, that I've seen anyways, but I just find it easier to correct my mistakes. I'm way too impatient to go in with pencil first, but I'm not confident enough to go in with pen first, you know? So if I go in with marker and a line isn't quite perfect, I can just sort of add an extra stroke or something like that. So I went in with marker first to make these little whales. Then I outlined, and I used the fine point of this Shuttle Art dual tip brush marker that I'm currently using to add some lines to the belly of the whale and to the tail as well. And then I'm going in with my white gel pen just to add some sort of doodles. So these are the same kinds of things that I added to my dinosaurs in February, and also that I add to like jellyfish and things like that. And I'm going to use my white as well on the calligraphy. So you'll notice with the title here, I wrote March in calligraphy. I darkened up the top half of the letters, and then on all the downstrokes, I used my white gel pen to add just little lines, a couple dashed lines as well, just to add sort of a cool like glistening effect, I guess. And next I'm drawing the clouds. So this is going to be a really full cover page. I've got whales down at the bottom, and I'm going to have clouds and stars and moons, and all of these elements were taken from Color Lime's Draw This in Your Style challenge. But of course I did it in my style. I changed things around. In her challenge, the whales were actually in a light bulb, and I did sort of a rough draft of that similar thing in my journal, but I just found that I couldn't draw a circle big enough on the page to make the whales look good in the light bulb, if you know what I mean. So I decided to get rid of the light bulb but keep the other elements, the clouds, the stars, the whales, and work it in my own way. So I drew some clouds kind of hanging from the top, and I've done this before in different custom journals, but it's always been different. I've never done it with whales, and I got this idea from Claudia Joseph's channel. I get a lot of inspiration from her, and so I'll definitely link her channel as well. So clouds are hanging from the top, stars and a moon are hanging from the clouds, and the page to the left here is my memories page, but as you can see, I misspelt memories right off the bat. I always like get ahead of myself when I'm doing calligraphy and start thinking about like future letters in the word, and then I accidentally put those letters way too early. So I decided to just take some plain old printer paper and write out memories again, and I'll paste it over, do a little bit of collaging, and just sort of cover that corner. So as I'm doing this, I did just want to mention, because I've already gotten some questions about it and I'm sure I'll get more. Yes, my left hand is a lot redder than it used to be. And the reason for that is I actually burnt it pretty badly on January 9th. And so it was honestly just blistered and nasty for pretty much the whole month of January and part of February. So I did not show my hand in a single video for that month. So I was using older footage or recording flip throughs using only one hand, which was actually way more difficult than you would think. But anyways, I burnt my hand. I didn't want to show it on camera because it was disgusting. And now it is pretty much better. It's just red and it may stay this way forever. So I decided to just leave it and go with it. So just so you guys know I got a few messages after one of my last videos. People were concerned about my hand. And so that's what happened, but it's all fine now. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's just a little red. So as you can see, I'm coloring in the clouds that I drew and also the stars using the same colors that I used for the whales and the calligraphy. So it's really just these two colors. And then you also saw my light peach Ecoline marker. And I don't use that super often for coloring things in, but I did use it for the clouds, and then just a light gray Crayola super tip to add a border around the edge of the pages. So lately, I guess not that lately, I've been doing it for a while now, but I've been really liking using different tones of gray for my outlines instead of black. I do like using black for some things, but I just find that it's so much softer to use gray. And so for a theme like this where I'm using peach and coral, and honestly, these are colors that I don't use very often, I find myself going to like greens and blues and grays first. But since I'm using these peach and coral colors, I thought a softer line would be better. So I used this light gray for pretty much everything that required like boxes, the calendar here, the border on the pages, and all of that. So I'm just doing a super simple calendar. It's 5 dot grid spaces wide and 6 dot grid spaces tall for each box. And then I'm just alternating the two colors to write the numbers. And as you can see, I'm using the fine tip. So the fine tip is like a fine liner on these markers. And then the brush tip is similar to a Tombow dual brush pen, although I will say the tips aren't always super consistent. Some of them are quite tough and some of them are really soft and sort of feel like they've been broken in already for you. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind if you do go for those markers. But I do love these shuttle art markers. They were definitely worth it for the huge 120 pack. So I've got my calendar here and I like to use the margin here to kind of plot out my month. And so what I'm writing in right now are my goals. So I like to give myself kind of a focus for the month and then a focus for each week. So for example, January, my focus was Instagram. I hadn't started an Instagram account, so that was my monthly goal. And then for the weeks, my goal would be like, post this many Instagram posts and work on this custom journal, or learn how to make an Instagram reel and finish this journal, you know? So I just always give myself kind of a focus for the week, and that's the goals section down there. And up above it, I am scheduling my YouTube videos. So I always post videos on Tuesdays and Fridays. So I just wrote out all of the Tuesdays and Fridays in March, and that's where I'm going to just schedule in whatever I'm posting on that day. So I haven't really gotten into the habit of scheduling my other content yet. Now that I did get started with Instagram, I haven't really been planning that content very much. So right now, this is enough space to just plot out what YouTube videos are next. Up above, you can see I'm bringing back some of the doodles from the cover page and just drawing these little stars that will hang from the top of the page. So this next page is probably the one that I go back to the most, and this is kind of my tasks page. So as a bullet journaler, I don't really use a lot of sort of the basic spreads. I never use a mood tracker. I totally ditched habit trackers like halfway through 2020. And what I found works for me is more of like tasks lists and check-ins and things like that. These are the things that I actually use. So they're the things that I prioritize in every monthly setup. So as you can see, I've got 2 boxes here labeled weekly and monthly, and these are pretty much for like house cleaning tasks specifically. So I'll write down all of the tasks that I aim to do on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and then I just leave space for all 5 weeks in March so that I can check off when I do those tasks. And these other areas here are for different types of tasks. So down at the bottom, I've just got sort of like a miscellaneous tasks section. Up at the top on the right here is my YouTube tasks. Then I've got my Etsy tasks, and down below is a new category, and it's social. They're not really tasks, but lately I've been challenging myself. Every Sunday, I text one of my friends and ask if we can hang out, either Zoom or FaceTime or whatever works for them. But I got really hermit-like at the end of 2020, you know, and it was nice in some ways because I was super productive, but it was also quite lonely. And so I've started being more intentional about spending time with people. So my social tasks is just going to be a list of people that I want to contact throughout the month of March. So that's my tasks page. And like I said, this is probably one of the most useful pages to me in my entire journal spread. Then over on the other side is my sort of mental, emotional check-in. So I start the page with just the prompt, "This month I'm," and I write down things that I'm thankful for, that I'm enjoying, and that I'm learning. So this is sort of another way to keep track of my memories, because that's one of my huge priorities with bullet journaling. I love storing memories here, but also just to check in with myself and to be intentionally grateful to remember things that I've been learning instead of just, you know, learning all these new things and then kind of forgetting about them right away. I find that this is a really great place to store all of those things. And I just used some more of those peach colored clouds beside each different heading. So the final page here is for my first weekly setup, and I usually try to make myself set up a full weekly in these YouTube videos, even though those really don't work very well for me. I try to make them work, but I really need a rolling weekly. So if you don't know what a rolling weekly is, it's basically where you just make your weekly spread as the week goes on. You don't set up the whole thing in advance. So the way that I do it is I make myself sort of a miniature tasks page, I guess. So along the side, you can see I have the dates for the first week of March, and that's going to be a spot for all of my events that I have that week. Then along the other side of the page, I'll have just a big task list for that week, and then I'll use the next 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 pages, however many I need, to plan out my days. So that's why I like to have it in this rolling style so that I can take as much space or as little space as I need and not feel confined to just little boxes for each day. Because I work from home, I have a ton of little tasks that I want to do each day, and I like to separate them by things that I want to accomplish in the morning, afternoon, and evening every day. So in order to have space for that, I like to just leave it wide open for myself. So I've got my events here, my tasks here, and the next few pages will be just set up as I go throughout the week. Usually I'll set up the spread for the next day just that evening. So on Monday evening, I'll set up a spread for Tuesday and kind of build what my Tuesday will look like. So that's pretty much it for this setup. Again, I did set up the giveaway journal that I'm doing, but I'm not going to show it in this video. So if you want a little refresher on what that giveaway is all about, I will link my February plan with me. You can also find the details in my January plan with me. So here's a little flip through. We've got our whale cover page, and I actually really like the touch of washi and collaging on the memories page. Then we've got our calendar with a spot for YouTube and for weekly and monthly goals. And then my tasks page, which is just my dashboard for the month, my reflections page, and then my first weekly. Thank you all so much for joining me to plan another month in my bullet journal. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, definitely let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out Color Lime on Instagram so that you can see more of her amazing work.